The corridors of Westminster are buzzing with anxiety, and the UK's financial future hangs in the balance. Chancellor Rachel Reeves, once heralded as the steady hand Labour needed to steer the country through turbulent times, is now at the centre of an economic storm. With recession fears looming over 2025 and the economy stagnating under her watch, Reeves may soon unleash a second wave of tax hikes that could cripple businesses and households alike. The controversy began with Reeves's October budget, a colossal £40 billion tax package that included a steep rise in employers' national insurance contributions to 15%, alongside controversial changes to inheritance tax. Critics called it a tax raid on ambition, but Reeves insisted the measures were necessary to fund public services and shore up the economy. Fast forward to December, and the promised growth has failed to materialise. Instead, the economy has flatlined, with GDP figures for the third quarter of 2024 revised downward to zero growth. This stagnation has sparked fears that the UK may already be slipping into a recession. Economists at the Institute for Fiscal Studies, IFS, have issued stark warnings about the road ahead. Paul Johnson, the IFS director, described the current situation as all a bit miserable, and warned that Reeves could be forced to return to the public with more tax demands next autumn if growth does not pick up. It's not impossible that the Chancellor will feel she needs to come back for yet more money, he cautioned. This grim prospect is sending shockwaves through the business community, already grappling with what they see as punitive policies from Labour. The signs of economic malaise are everywhere. Household disposable income per head has stalled, showing no growth in the third quarter, while the savings rate has dipped to 10.1%, down from 10.3% in the previous quarter. Meanwhile, critical sectors like hospitality, legal services and advertising have struggled, dragging down overall performance. Liz McKeown, Director of Economic Statistics at the Office for National Statistics, ONS, admitted that the economy was weaker in the second and third quarters than our initial estimates suggested. This revelation has shattered any lingering confidence in Labour's ability to manage the economy. The UK's position in the G7 has become a source of national embarrassment. In the third quarter, the country tied with Italy for the worst economic performance, while per capita figures showed a 0.2% contraction. Only Canada fared worse in terms of per capita growth. For a nation that prides itself on being a global economic leader, these numbers are nothing short of catastrophic. Julian Jessop, an economist at the Institute of Economic Affairs, delivered a scathing critique, likening the UK's economic performance to a Manchester City-style collapse. Reeves's political opponents have seized the moment, launching a full-scale assault on her economic record. Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride accused Labour of presiding over a disastrous budget that has tanked growth and eroded public confidence. The Labour government must now urgently revisit their fiscal policies and align them with growth, not decline, Stride demanded. Tory business spokesperson Andrew Griffith was even more cutting, declaring that Labour had killed, plucked and cooked the UK economic goose. For businesses, the situation is becoming untenable. Confidence has plunged to levels not seen since the mini-budget crisis of the previous administration, with many blaming Labour's tax policies for stifling investment. Reeves's decision to bring pensions into the inheritance tax regime has drawn particular ire, with critics arguing that it punishes aspiration and undermines long-term financial planning. Business leaders have warned that Labour is fostering a hostile climate for growth, leaving entrepreneurs and investors reluctant to take risks in the UK market. Adding to Labour's woes is the international uproar surrounding the Chagos Islands sovereignty deal with Mauritius. Initially hailed as a historic agreement, the negotiations have devolved into a bitter dispute over financial terms. Mauritius's Deputy Prime Minister Paul Berenger has accused the UK of quibbling over a small amount and suggested that Labour is failing to respect the country's sovereignty. "There are some things you can't accept if you're a true patriot," Berenger declared, stoking nationalist sentiment in both countries. The proposed deal would see the UK relinquish sovereignty over the Chagos Islands while retaining a 99-year lease for Diego Garcia, a critical military base shared with the United States. When announced in October, the agreement was lauded by Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer and then Mauritian Prime Minister Pravind Jugnauth as a seminal moment in UK-Mauritius relations. But the financial disagreements have soured the partnership, with Berenger warning that Mauritius would not sign a deal that compromises its dignity. Back in the UK, opposition to the deal has been fierce. Conservative MPs have accused Labour of jeopardising national security, with Shadow Foreign Secretary Dame Priti Patel leading the charge. "This government is letting our standing go into freefall in an increasingly dangerous world," Patel warned. She also demanded transparency about the financial costs of the agreement, asking, "How much is the British taxpayer going to be liable for each year, and in total, over 99 years?" The clock is ticking for Labour to finalise the deal before Donald Trump's inauguration as US President in January. Trump's camp has expressed scepticism about the agreement, with his pick for Secretary of State Marco Rubio describing it as a threat to US security. Labour now faces the daunting task of satisfying both domestic critics and international partners while navigating the complexities of a rapidly shifting geopolitical landscape. As if all this weren't enough, Labour has also been forced to contend with a wave of public disillusionment. Rachel Reeves' once bold promises to revitalise the economy now ring hollow, and her repeated refusal to rule out further tax hikes has only deepened the mistrust. Business leaders, opposition MPs, and ordinary Britons alike are questioning whether Labour has the vision or competence to guide the country through this crisis. Against this grim backdrop, a rare moment of levity emerged from an unlikely source. Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick. In a video shared widely on social media, Jenrick delivered an alternative Christmas message that poked fun at the often cloying holiday greetings from politicians. Filmed in his Newark constituency, the video featured Jenrick bantering with his cameraman and joking about his failed bid for the Tory leadership. But the light-hearted tone soon gave way to a heartfelt tribute to Newark Round Table, a local charity that brings Christmas cheer to struggling families. While Jenrick's message provided a brief reprieve from the doom and gloom, it also underscored the stark contrast between Westminster's elite and the challenges faced by ordinary people. His focus on grassroots efforts highlighted the disconnect between Labour's lofty promises and the harsh realities on the ground. For many, Jenrick's video was a reminder of what politics could be, a genuine effort to serve and uplift communities rather than a stage for ideological battles and broken promises. As the year draws to a close, the stakes for Labour have never been higher. The economy is teetering on the edge, international negotiations are in disarray, and public confidence is evaporating. For Rachel Reeves, the coming months will be a test of her leadership and resilience. Can she reverse the tide and restore faith in Labour's economic vision? Or will her tenure as Chancellor be remembered as the moment the UK's fortunes took a turn for the worse? The clock is ticking and the nation is watching. Whatever happens next, one thing is certain: 2025 will be a defining year for Rachel Reeves and the Labour government. The choices they make, or fail to make, will shape the UK's future for years to come. For now, though, the outlook is bleak and the road ahead looks more perilous than ever.